Hello. Hello. Running fast is the subject is fine. Running is the quote simple subject where you just do like the main word. But then the phrase running fast as a whole is also the subject. But isn't is not a verb phrase because the not, well, it depends what you mean by verb phrase. Oh yeah, I defined verb phrase as just a phrase that acts as a verb. That's fine. Some people use it for either like, see, it can mean only the verbs when because there can be multiple verbs like will have. You actually get like a multi-word verb. And also sometimes verb phrase includes the object. That's actually a common terminology. That's a more confusing term. I don't like including the object in verb phrase because then I don't know what to call like the verb without the object. And the word predicate refers to verb with object or complement already. We don't need verb phrase for that. Yeah, this is fine. It's just a matter of definitions, whether it can include an adverb or not. By the way, the sentence is a little ambiguous because not can apply to fun. Like not fun can be a group, and is not can be a group. So it can to some extent go either way. The contraction is a hint that not goes with is, because they're already grouped together into one word. But like both of these groupings they have the same meaning, they come out the same. You can say not fun is the thing that it is, or that it has a not is relationship with fun. what do does. He says it's a helper verb, but he doesn't say what its meaning is or purpose. I'm gonna reply to that. I think that might have come up multiple times. This is July 25 at 2:46. Yes. Yes. Beyond a threshold for something. That's kind of vague. Like, I think the dictionary would do better than that. To a higher degree than desirable, permissible, or possible. Excessively. I mean, yeah, what just says is not wrong. Like, it fits the definition, but it's a little confusing. The dictionary definition is clearer because it says what kind of threshold, like the threshold of desirableness, the threshold of permissibleness, the threshold of possibility, the threshold of non-excessive. Rami just says a threshold, without, like, it doesn't. He doesn't mean any threshold because it's not the threshold for. I'm sure there's an example where it doesn't work. Like the threshold for driving competence. It's either like you're a decent driver or you're not. You don't use the word two for that. Two deals with degrees, so you need like a real valued continuum, not just a binary like qualified or non-qualified. Even though both of those are thresholds. Yeah, Justin mentioned this yesterday. This is fine. Exercise is acting as an adjective here. I mean, there's some special phrase, I think it's noun adjunct, for when nouns act as adjectives, at least in some cases, but it's not important. I don't think it really adds much. Whose is more specific? Yeah, his does give you information about which routine. It helps partially identify a particular routine from all routines. It narrows down which routines you might be talking about. It doesn't narrow it down to one routine, but it narrows it down from many to fewer. It's information about which routine, but whose routine is a better question. It's more directly relevant, more specific. Oh, I'm glad that the audio silence removal aggressiveness got improved. Adverb placements vary a lot more, but there are actually guidelines for it. I remember reading some stuff about where they normally go. It varies by the type of adverb. Like there's adverbs of place or time or various things, manner, and there were separate guidelines for each category of adverb for what was standard with it. There are also adjective and adverb ordering guidelines that people really know intuitively without necessarily knowing they exist. You always say like the Red Bull, not read the bull. The one with articles is a pretty like well known or blatant or whatever, but there's like a whole list of what types of adjectives go first or second or third. And when adjectives are in different categories, you frequently don't put a comma between them, so you can have like a bunch of adjectives in front of one noun with no commas if they're in different categories, but if they're in the same category, you need a bunch of commas. Yeah, this post seems okay. Gifts is a good choice. Gifts is the direct object here. This is covered in the grammar article. There's like a paragraph or two on indirect objects. I put one practice sentence using them. It's a very typical indirect object practice sentence, like about as basic as it gets. Yeah, this is what it means. It's equivalent to this. And just got it right, it looks like. Yeah, this looks good. Looks good. Oh, apparently there's a mistake. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's a mistake. I don't think I even read that sentence, to be honest. Oh, yep. Right, well, Anne caught the errors. Out of order, you have to think conceptually about what it makes sense that it would apply to. Like, are the books out of order? That's not impossible. Like, you could take a fantasy series with 10 books, and you could read them out of order. You could read book 5, and then book 8, and then go back and read book 2. That would be reading books out of order, in some sense. I think it still doesn't work well. But, like, conceptually, the idea of out of order can apply to books. But, like, the books can be out of order. But books out of order doesn't even work well as a phrase, because you need to say something like books that were out of order, books that are out of order. Anyway, out of order certainly doesn't apply to nonfiction. And you're not doing liking out of order. So the thing that's actually being done out of order is the reading. Not the liking, but the reading. So out of order applies to reading. It makes the most sense. And it presumably means reading sections from within one book out of order rather than whole books out of order. Okay, that's fine. That's also fine. Oh, I see. Yeah, so it's more complicated than usual. For this, I think if you want to claim this as the answer, you have to say what definition of out you're using. That would make it better. Objects. Also, he just said this. Oh, preposition of object order. Oh, just as used to the terminology where I was just saying like the prepositions nouns. But I did mention prepositional object. I did mention one time that a preposition's noun is called an object. But in general, I avoided that and used only object to refer to direct object to try to keep it simple. Oh yeah, he says exactly that. Okay, but I still am clear on this out thing. So, if out is an adverb modifying reading, that's reading out. Reading away from a place? No. Reading a particular distance from somewhere? No. Reading away from home? No. Reading so as to be revealed or known? No. No. No, no. No, no. Something's gray. Yeah, there's totally more text down there. App is buggy. I have a proper scroll bar and I can get all the way down. Okay, so this dictionary has more definitions of out. But reading that? No, no. No, no, no. Reading out of the usual or proper place or position? That's sort of right, except that then you wouldn't even need to say out of order because it's already like meant by out. Oh, it could be reading beyond the usual or proper limits. What type of limits? The limits of reading in order. That one makes sense. Hello. Alright, where was I? $20? Jesus Christ. That sounds like buggy as hell, because you don't actually want silences over, say, 5 seconds. In general, splitting things up into separate components is good. It makes things more organized. Like, you want to be able to break things down into as small of parts as possible, so that you have the option to analyze further or more. The more things are stuck in like large components that can't be broken up further, the more complexity you have that you can't optionally reduce away with further analysis. Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. Yep. Yep. By the way, the out of order thing is also something people just treat as a phrase where they know what the phrase as a whole means. And in general, that's fine, but it was possible to break down and look up a meaning of out and figure out what was actually going on. Yeah, proper nouns are a bit different because you don't just mean any canyon, which is grand, or any Mac, which is professional. Like, it's not a regular adjective, it's actually trying to refer to a specific thing. But even with proper nouns, you can generally see how the pieces fit together and have individual meaning. So you can analyze further, you just usually don't want to. There's a missing the here. Not really important. Yeah, this sentence is an intentional bait and switch. Like, the imaginary is a contrast, a surprise. Like, it's not what they're expecting. You're actually, like, screwing with your reader a little bit on purpose. Like, mess with them or play with them. It's not like a big thing. You know, they're only going out of their way by a few words, and then they're pulling a very small rug out from under them. It's not like a big problem. So yeah, comic effect is one of the things that it can do. Yeah, I agree that they're all independent adjectives. It's just this one is, in terms of like meaning and content, it kind of dominates. But grammatically, it's just a bunch of adjectives modifying girlfriend. Seems right. Same thing again, where do did not get any sort of analysis or statement of what it means. When, oh yeah, internet, if you want to do longer messages, post them on Discord. Here, there's now a Discord window. If you post here, you can do long chat messages. Also, YouTube sometimes blocks URLs. I'm not sure exactly how that works. But if you want to post a URL and it doesn't show up, you can put it in Discord. Oh, it's top chat instead of live chat. Maybe that's why my URLs didn't show up at some point, as they were not considered top chat. Potential spam may not be visible. Anyway, it keeps defaulting to top chat every time I do a stream, because YouTube wants their censorship algorithm thing to apply. That's a topic change. I'm gonna keep doing grammar for now. Well, you can also say which routine are we talking about? And then if you say his routine, that is an answer to that question. It's not a complete answer, but that's really common. Similarly, if the question was, whose routine is it? A person could give an incomplete answer, like one of the girls from, and you can say like a particular sorority, or a particular house or something, or a particular family. So yeah, I think the which thing is not wrong. It's just less specific, so it's all things being equal, the more specific questions are better because they're more directly related to what you're talking about. But Justin seems to think that there's an actual like problem with which, like less optimal is like a really soft kind of problem. It's not actually wrong, whereas he seems to think there's a harder problem. And I'm not seeing that. Well, if you said John's routine, it would be fine. It's just his routine needs a antecedent. But if someone's like, "Which routine are you practicing?" and you say Miley Cyrus's routine or whatever, it's perfectly fine. In the original sentence, the his refers to John. That means like his own routine. It's clear which person it is. It's also implied that John only has one exercise routine. Or you normally would not say this. You could say if he has a bunch, you could say he's doing one of his exercise routines. Well, in that case, it would apply to like all of them. There's an implied context of all possible exercise routines, something like that. Because if you didn't have his, you could have the word "an." It'd be like John gets sweaty when he does an exercise routine. That's the implied context. Is just an exercise routine, any exercise routine, the universe of all exercise routines, and then his gives you additional information about which one from that universe. Um, surprised, right, but that doesn't say why. Like, Justin knows what the word hat means. The question was not like, what does hat mean? It's why are you saying it? Or he knows the possible meanings. Like, there's so he could mean I was surprised. That would be a reasonable meaning. In which case, that would partially answer Justin's question because it would be surprise rather than amusement. And also, Justin would still be asking, like, why were you surprised? It was like a two-part question, like, which meaning of he you mean, and also why did you have that reaction, is what Justin wanted to know, and just has answered neither of those. Yeah, I thought there was a disagreement as well. Yep, I understood that. Yeah, I found it a little ambiguous between this. This is good writing by GISTE here. This is actually clear and relevant and stuff. And it looks like Justin has not gotten back to him yet. Unless it's this. I wasn't highlighting. Oh, just noticed his own problem there. But this isn't a reply to this stuff. I thought this stuff merited a reply from Justin. Just did not answer what he meant by he. He gave like a definition that has multiple meanings and he didn't say which one he meant. Like surprise and amusement are different and questioning is different. Okay, so just literally doesn't know why he thought that. It's very like meme based. It's following certain conventional memes without really understanding yourself. And I think it's a bad one, and I think that's why Justin asked about it, is that there's something negative here. People are doing a lot of practice like this, but they're not doing practice of um with like marking groups in sentences, and they're not doing the question-based analysis. So if they plan to do it later, that's fine, but I think those are good things to work on at some point, and they help move it in the direction of analyzing text like I would analyze a philosophy passage, rather than just being grammar. Like it helps you understand the meaning more. There were more, weren't there? They're not highlighting though, so let's click there. I thought there were more. Maybe I'm wrong. Alright, well let's try this thing. Right, so I don't agree with that. I talked about that on my previous stream. I read it as an infinitive clause. It's not that important though. Like I don't think this is a conceptual misunderstanding. Like I think you can understand what's being said either way. And yeah, I talked about also last time that I do not like the concept of quote dependent clauses. I think it's really confused. Although I didn't go into a lot of detail on what's actually wrong with it. But I think if you just try looking at it in terms of nested and non-nested clauses, you might find that that just works well. Well, they function as multiple things at once. Like they have some verb properties and some non-verb properties. What you have to do is understand what a non-finite verb is, and like how it actually differs from a finite verb, which I also talked about on my previous stream, and which I recommended people look up. Oh, I see. This completing versus modifying concept, that seems reasonable. I'm gonna call that a maybe. This looks okay. Doesn't work here. If it was made the pig warm, you can say made the pig be warm, but you can't say kept the pig be warm. Because made plus be works sort of like become. Like if you make something be something, you're making it become that. Whereas if you're keeping it, it's not becoming. So I think that might be why it doesn't work. But you might be able to use something else. I mean, it means kept the pig in a warm state. I think pig and warm are linked. I don't know the most elegant way to fill in some implied words. But if you just view it as some sort of complement thing, that also works okay. Yeah, this is how I would diagram it. Except I would put square brackets around the and because it's not a literal word and. You could also put a semicolon in square brackets there, or you can put some other kind of marker, like you can say subordinate or coordinate in square brackets, for example. It's debatable whether we're dealing with a subordinate clause or two coordinate clauses. I'm leaning towards thinking it's coordinate. So you could put, yeah, square brackets and then like coordination or something. Which is basically what the purpose of the and is. But it's not a literal and. Also on the diagram, you could like circle this and then draw like an arrow. You know, something like that to show what that refers to. Would make it nicer. You could also put the You could swap the clause order. It could kind of go either way. I don't know which is better for which clause to put on the left. But yeah, I think this is not a nested clause scenario. I think that is a reference. So it's one clause refers to the other clause, which is different than one clause being nested inside the other clause. Well, in this one, there is a double rule, because that is both a reference to the second clause, and also it allows a second clause. Like, it plays the role sort of like a semicolon. A different translation, which I think is important, is... It's somewhat more direct than the semicolon with reversed orders. Is just this. I think that school is boring. Here, that is a forward reference instead of a backward reference, which is much more awkward. But if you're willing to accept that as a forward reference, now we have like a much more direct translation because we're not reordering the clauses. The point here is just that the word that has two purposes. One, it's kind of like adding a semicolon right here. And two, it refers to the text school is boring. The semicolon is like saying we're introducing a clause, and it is, you can say it's subordinate or coordinate. Semicolons coordinate, but it's somewhat debatable whether it's a coordinate or subordinate clause, but I'd say coordinate. But anyways, the point here is that there are two roles for that. You can't just say, you can't just put two clauses next to each other for no reason. There has to be something that like lets them go together, so that has the role of allowing there to be two clauses in one sentence, in addition to the role of referring to the other text. And this has the double what? Right, so here, this is a what as like an introductory thing, or a subordinator. Like, I've seen professionals do diagrams like this, and this is one of the options, but where this top what is, you can also put like square brackets and put like subordination or something. Sometimes implied. Some of them do not like to have extra nodes. They want exactly one node per word. But anyways, I think this way is fine. One thing you could do is put square brackets around the top what, just to make it like clearer that it's not playing a normal word role in some sense. There's some way it's doing something special because this is like the subordinator part of the word. I don't know. It's a little odd that like neither one is marked at all. So that they could use some kind of marking, but yeah, this is fine. See, in my version, I marked it with like the arrow and the note. Relates noun clauses. That I think I meant noun clause. I think that's a typo with the plural. But you know, in general, it relates noun clauses. You got the idea. I just wanted to point out like the meanings. And I think that the top meaning is the one that's like less standard. Like whoever did it with whoever as just the subject doesn't like require a note as much as whoever as a relator word. Yes. It's not like terribly important. I just think it's what the sentence means. Like that is a reference word. Like if that was not functioning as a reference, why would it split like that so perfectly? And I found that in an old dictionary that said that's how it worked in the original Merriam-Webster from 1828, and I thought it made sense. It's specifically when that is functioning as like a pronoun, except that it might refer to more stuff than a pronoun normally does. But it's when that is a reference to other text that I think it should be viewed that way, rather than as just a subordinator. The purpose is it's just what the word that means. That is a reference word. That's like one of the meanings of the word that. Oh, and the other purpose is that I think that they're coordinate clauses. When you view this as a subordinator, then you're saying it was my birthday as a subordinate clause. And I think that's an inferior structure for the sentence. I think that this clause is equally important and frequently actually more important than the other one. The biggest hard difference, I think, is whether it's a subordinate or coordinate clause. It's not really, though. So, like, the word that in school is boring thing. Here, like, that is not a relative pronoun. It's different than the word what in the other example, and it has to be different. And the reason is that it is neither the subject nor the object in the second clause. And on top of that, we need an object in the first clause. The standard view is very confused. It says that that is a subordinating conjunction. If it's a subordinating conjunction, then you have I think with think as an intransitive verb with no object, and you have two separate clauses. What they actually mean is that that is a special kind of conjunction that doesn't work like other conjunctions, but somehow turns it's a subordinator that turns this other phrase into the object, which is not what conjunctions do. That's like a different concept than a conjunction. So, okay, the core difference is school is boring a nested clause under I think that or not? You get a significantly different structure, whether you think it's nested or not. Wait, where's the like go button? Did I? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 4. This isn't what I meant to do. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Okay, so it's this structure. You can see that this structure is taller than the other one. This versus this. This has a height of 3. This has a height of 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 versus 3. That's a change. And this has think is the leader of everything. Think is like in charge, and everything is nested under think. Whereas in this version, it's different. You have two actually separate clauses, so the meaning is somewhat different. So in this version, the belief is that the word that is able to take a clause which follows it and convert that clause into a noun. Similar to a preposition which takes a noun that follows it and then converts into something like an adjective. Is a general rule of thumb, like less nesting is better organized. And anyways, I talk about this stuff in my grammar videos, so I'm gonna stop now, and you can get my grammar videos on Gumroad if you want to see what I said about it. Like I had this diagram and some other ones, and I talked about it for a while. Hi, Alex. I'm good. Okay, so this was already discussed. Not substantially different, so I'm just gonna keep going. Okay, yes. Yes, although again, it doesn't say what do means or why it's there. And also, broken is a participle, I think. EN words are participles in general. I think some participles have gotten into the dictionary and they're just there and it says adjective. See, broken, you can look it up and you'll see it as an adjective. But I think it is a participle. I think it comes from the word broke or break. You can probably check, like, I think broken is actually a common example. Past participle, broken. Yeah, you can look up list of participles. I'm spelling it wrong, but yeah, there are lists like this, which are helpful if you're not sure about these words for figuring out what they are and stuff. Is broke not here? Oh, there it is. I just missed it. Oh, it wasn't in order because it's breaking. So it wasn't a BRO word. Because it was alphabetized by the first column. Anyway, yeah, broken participle. That's a notable thing. So just was mentioning the gerund, but not the participle. I think maybe he didn't know that broken was a participle. I've done a lot of reading. I'm going to skip that one for now because it's long. But I'm going to keep doing some easy ones, I think. Oh yeah, I already commented on this issue of what applies to what. Commas between coordinate clauses are standard. You can omit them sometimes when the clauses are short, but just having them is normal. Yeah, that is the reason I put a comma after 4, is I thought it would read as I thought 5 would read as applying only to 4 without the comma, and that's why I added the comma, because you normally don't need a comma before your subordinate clause like this. at the end of the sentence, but I want it to apply to another one that's about the same. A prepositional phrase can be an adverb. So an adverb can go at the beginning of a sentence and can modify the whole sentence or the verb, which are very hard to tell apart. Modifying the main verb or the whole sentence is often sort of like the same meaning. It doesn't really change anything. Another example would be like, after lunch, comma, I went home. And then the after lunch is, take your pick, it's modifying the went or the whole thing. I'm gonna stop pretty soon if no one asks any questions. FYI. Oh, did it just say tiring was an adjective? I don't know how much attention I was paying. Let's see. Oh, it just said it's a gerund. Oh, yeah. Gerund. Right, so it's a linking verb, so it could have a noun or an adjective. Sometimes it's hard to tell which is which. You get that with like colors, which can be nouns or adjectives, I think. Right, so like green can be a noun or adjective, so if you say the building is green, there isn't some like really clear way that I know of to figure out whether green is a linked adjective or a linked noun. Fortunately, it doesn't matter very much, and I think this is similar, where my impression is tiring could be a noun or an adjective, like the word could in general, and I don't see like an easy way to tell because the meaning comes out about the same either way. So did Anne give a reason? No. Okay. Let's see. I stop watching. So stop is an action verb, which means the object needs to be a noun. So it can't be a participle here because it's a noun slot in the sentence. It can't be an adjective. It's only when it's a linking verb that you have to worry about maybe it's a participle. The word boring, though, is interesting. I'm thinking that's a participle. I'm gonna look in the dictionary a little. It shows up under adjective, but that seems like participle. And then would boring be a gerund? The boringness is the noun rather than just boring. Okay, yeah, so boring is a present participle. What if we look at boring, the gerund? Is boring a gerund? So in these, the person says that boring is a participle. By the way, my general impression with the linking verb thing is it seems like when it could be an adjective or a noun after the linking verb, adjective usually works better. That's my general impression. That's what I lean towards, is thinking of it as an adjective. Oh yeah, this makes sense. This is a good example. Okay, I'm gonna post this. This comment because this one had the good info. Oh no, I hate Reddit. Because now you can no longer see the parent question. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna give both links because Reddit is so stupid about linking things. Like, I want to link, point at the first comment, but also have the actual post. It works on my blog. Oh yeah, I didn't fully think this through. I just looked up out and found a definition where Justin's interpretation worked. But I didn't actually carefully consider if anything else could work. So let's see. Out, preposition. No, out of. So out of is a phrase. So your options are basically treated as a special phrase, or what I did earlier when I looked it up and replied to Justin, I think. Well, okay, but what are these definitions? It doesn't mean from among a number. We're not saying the books. Oops. So you would need like a number on the end. So, and we haven't run out of not having a particular thing. It's not that we like ran out of orderliness or something. Yeah, and indicating the source or derivation of something from. You did it out of spite. Anyway, none of these fit really well, but I'm sure you could say that you could give it as just a common phrasal meaning, or say it's an idiom or something. Oh, out of. This dictionary has out of as a preposition. She fell out of the crib. She read them out of order. Yeah, so I think this definition works fine. So if you say that the phrase out of is defined this way, it works. Or, yeah. Oh, this was direction or movement. But whatever, there's something that'll work. Out of line, yeah. This one seems better. The order, quality, or state was not normal, usual, or correct. So this works okay. Oops, no, it's 2B. Good enough. I'm not going to read more for now. Broken is a participle. I think that's worth noting for trying to understand verbals. Right? Or you could say like don't work for what purpose, or don't work in what way, or something like that. skipping for now. I don't like this one. I find this really awkward. I talked about this earlier. Alright, last chance for questions. I'm gonna end real soon, otherwise. Yeah, I mean, you could outline without the with vigor. Like, the more standard outline is just drop the with vigor modifier. You don't especially need it. Yeah, these seem pretty good. It looks like he understands what the sentence means and what's going on. Alright, well, yesterday morning I had like 80 unread emails, and now it's at 11. So that was some good progress last night and today, mostly caught up. I'm ending stream now. There's a possibility I'll be back later today, but probably not. The end stream button was not showing. The window needed to be bigger.